I'd like to call the meeting of the City Council for January 5th, 2016 to order. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Misty, if you would call the roll, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here.
Mr. Grundon?
Here.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Here.
Mr. Shar?
Here.
Mr. Knippel?
Here.
Mr. Foster?
Here.
Correction and approval of the City Council minutes of December 15th, 2015. Do I have a motion of acceptance?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
Any discussion? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Here. Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Correspondence? Ed?
I had a lot of barking dog kind of conversations, but no one took out an application to fill the vacancy on the council, so that's all it was, as I see it, so.
Okay. Blaze, you got anything?
Nope.
Mike?
Well, very quiet.
Diane?
Couple things. Some concern on snow plow driving that I did bring up with Steve and people not happy with, in my ward, with where the snow on the road ended up, you know, that it flying through the air and ending up on the sidewalk. So, hopefully we'll be taking care of that issue. And then, I did have some people that talked to me, and wanted to say the reverse, that they were very pleased with the road cleaning process and that they could get out and so forth. So, a little of both.
Okay.
I had a couple of conversations, people with American Parkway being finished were, I guess, concerned that semi-trucks are gonna come through Brookstone and try to get into the industrial park, so, just a number of people I talked to this week had that concern, but that was about it.
The only conversation I had was with Mr. Seaman. This concerns a reconsideration of the motion that was denied at the last meeting for a tavern operator's license, and that's actually in council business, so I'll wait for that. Okay, Misty, would you read number 5, please?
Questions and public comment. The public is encouraged to address the council at this time regarding items on the agenda unless the item is the subject of a public hearing. If your comments pertain to a public hearing, you are asked to hold your comments until the hearing. Public comment may also be made at this time on items that are not on the agenda if you have registered with the city clerk before the meeting has been called to order. The state's open meeting law discourages action by the council on items not listed on the agenda. Please keep your comments limited to 3 minutes and state your name and address when starting your comments and fill out the sign-in sheet provided.
Okay, thanks. Anybody? See none, we'll go ahead and close that and go to item 6, the city manager's report. Steve, if you would, please.
All that I have in the report is the PD report. Kind of took Christmas off, so I didn't generate anything. American Way, I assume that they're thinking that the street's going through shortly.
Nope. And actually a number of semi-trucks, I think their GPS shows that as a finished road, so they're pulling in and getting down there and then realizing it's not, and then having to navigate their way out to get to the dumpster, JMAC. So
Shouldn't be listed as a truck
Shouldn't
route.
take
anyway.
apparently
tries
it's
before they
apparently
find
it's
out
happened
that's not
twice,
true.
and so yeah.
I think it is.
That's listed as a truck route to go through
City, yeah.
the Brookstone?
Red. Well, no.
American Way runs all the way out to Harvey,
Yeah.
and it's a collector. It's an arterial. So yes, it's a
It will
full.
be, is what
It's
you're
a full.
saying.
It's the one full. CP Avenue and Brookstone are the same thing as is Harvey, and then American Way and Lake Street, County Highway B are also. So
And I found that odd because I know, like, even my home GPS shows American Way isn't finished. And I know most of the truck GPSs that we use, they're pretty accurate. So I don't know why guys would be pulling in there
I don't either.
thinking it's finished.
That won't be a truck route at any point, will it?
Well, it's designed as a arterial, so it would be a full, designed to handle trucks.
So they will be able
It's
to
not
use it?
designated as a truck route, but
So there won't be a
obviously
sign?
most of American Way is in the industrial park.
So that, but there won't be signs off of Harvey Road that say no trucks allowed? That's not gonna happen?
Well, it's not necessary at this time because American Way doesn't get close to Harvey Road and it does, Brookstone doesn't even connect to it. So it was I guess my point is that it may be a while before American Way goes through. Could change quickly, but at this point in time, I don't see it happening.
And I think it was a culmination of two things. When they see the trucks, and now you see, I mean, Wallace Park is getting a lot of activity. When you get all 4 baseball diamonds full, the entire neighborhood gets filled with cars. I mean, there are parked cars and kids running across the street. Now you had semis. I think that's just a combination.
Yeah, American
don't
Wa-
wanna
or
see out there.
Brookstone would never be a truck route.
Correct.
And so, yeah, that would be, American Way could potentially be designated out to Harvey Road because that's you're coming in and out of the industrial park and you have a couple different routes. Depends on how CP gets done. But I don't know that that's a issue for me right now. Snow plowing. Went through, did all the research. 25 miles an hour is the recommended speed for urban snow plowing speeds. I don't anticipate that any of our trucks are going over 25 miles an hour. If they are, let me know. They need to get up to that speed for their transmission and their engine and their snowplow to work effectively. So we recommend that they run as close to that as possible. So we've had that conversation, and so we'll let them know. Obviously, if you live on the county highway, they go a lot faster than that, and they throw snow a lot further than that, so you'll see a lot of the mailboxes having the snow shields in front of them. So there's a certain amount of give and take with each one of these types of operations. But yes, we have had the conversation.
And this last snow was not a typical snow. It was more sleet and ice pellets than very
Brutal.
wet and heavy. So yeah,
Heavy.
So you really have to kind of get it up there to get it done.
you know.
Yeah. So anyways, those are the issues that we had. Other than that, nothing that I want to talk about right now. We may have conversations shortly.
Okay, item 7, have acceptance of the minutes from the Lake Mills Housing Authority for October 27th and the Joint Rock Lake Committee of November 3rd, 2015. They'll go on record as read. Item 8, council business. First one is miscellaneous license. The first one is a motion to reconsider Eric Paul Siemens tavern operator's license, which was not approved at the last meeting. Do I have a motion to reconsider?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
And is Mr. Seaman here? Would you come up and address the council, please?
Mr. Council President, in order to reconsider, you have to have a vote on the motion to
Okay.
reconsider.
So at this point, if there's no discussion, call the vote.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And if I could get a motion to suspend the rules,
So moved.
and a second, please?
Second.
Call the vote, please.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Okay, Mr. Seaman, this is your opportunity to address the council and present your reasons for reconsideration.
Sounds good. I was hoping to get this paperwork in front of you before the meeting. I didn't realize I was on the agenda until I opened my mail tonight. But with me, I brought my discharge summary from Arbor Place, which is a treatment facility in Menominee, Wisconsin. Shows that I successfully completed fairly intensive day treatment program, and after that I had an outpatient care plan for 4 months after that I also completed successfully. I got a letter from my previous boss that I bartended sober for 9 months while towards the end of my schooling at UW Stout. You'll have a chance to read it. I also wrote a letter to you kind of explaining my situation a lot more. I know I spoke to some of you on the phone and kind of gave you a brief history of what happened, but I also brought letters from my full-time job boss, Scott Warple at Selgin Company, and then from the owner of the Grist, which is the new bar that's taking over Carps. I think that it says a lot that he wants me to bartend there because, well, it's his business, it's his livelihood, that's how he makes his money, and I don't think he's going to put somebody in charge down there that could risk his business or destroy what he is trying to build. He sees something in me that you don't find in everybody, and he's willing to put his business on the line, letting me close a bar by myself, taking the responsibility for everything that happens there during the night. I have quit drinking. I'm not the person I was 5 or more years ago. That was a pretty bad time in my life, and really happy to be past it. I am looking to be a bartender down there because I'm looking to buy a house this spring, and extra money is pretty great. I have experience bartending, so it's kind of easy to go back to, I guess. I guess I don't know what else, other than I hope all this paperwork is satisfactory, and it shows that I am not the irresponsible man I used to be, and I hope I can just move on past this.
Okay, would you present those to the clerk, please?
Which one?
Are there copies for us to see?
And a copy for, if you have extra copies.
Is it just one, or?
Just one of each, yes.
Okay,
Mr. President, are we making a motion, are we gonna make a decision on that tonight?
yeah,
Or
we're going
I'd
to,
like to see copies and before I cast a vote.
okay. Why don't you just let him read them?
Do you want me to review each of these, or do you want me to?
Just let's let Ed or whoever else wants to read them.
Do I have to sign in on this thing like you guys?
Please, if you would. Council, if it looks like it's going to happen, is it possible to go ahead and take another motion on the license since it was approved to reconsider, or how do we go about doing that?
Yeah, because it's listed on the agenda the way it is, you can make a decision tonight. Or if you wanted to take enough time to review the information that was presented to you tonight in
I think we have
detail,
enough time to
you
go ahead
could,
and
you could
take care of
table
that.
it for the next meeting as well.
Is the Grist open right now?
The bar is open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the restaurant will be doing its soft opening on starting Monday, and then the whole thing will be open.
So it would be to his advantage to have you on board as soon as possible.
Yes, he's pretty comfortable with how I've learned, and to the point where he would not be spending every night at the bar that I'm working.
Okay, Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have some light music while we're waiting.
Since I'm at the end of the line, I'll make a motion to approve the license.
And do I have a second, please?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? If not, Misty, call the vote, please.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Congratulations, Eric.
We'll see you down at the place.
Okay, item 2, the Pyramid Liquor and Motel is looking for a Class A combination liquor license. This license was, I guess, inherited by the city when that property was annexed a couple of weeks ago. So, Misty, if you would read that, please.
It is a Class A combination liquor license for Pyramid Liquor and Motel. There's not a, it's just a miscellaneous license, so it'd just be a verbal motion.
So what?
It would just be verbal.
Oh. So do I have a motion to approve the Class A combination liquor license for Pyramid Liquor and Motel Incorporated?
So moved.
And a second, please?
Second.
Misty, would you call the vote, please?
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And so the city has another liquor license. Item B is a discussion and decision on the request from the Rotary to use the community center for a fundraiser. Misty, would you read that, please?
City Council Motion 16-1-1-1, authorizing the use of the Lake Mills Community Center by the Lake Mills Rotary Club. Be it therefore moved this 5th day of January 2016 by the City of Lake Mills Council that Section 1, that the Lake Mills Rotary Club is authorized to use Lake Mills Community Center for the craft beer and wine tasting as set forth in the attached request. Section 2, that the city manager is authorized to take such actions as necessary to implement and administer said community center use. Section 3, that the city clerk is directed to send a copy of this motion to Lake Mills Rotary Club, P.O. Box 103, Lake Mills, Wisconsin. The city council does hereby approve the use of the Lake Mills Community Center and authorizes the council president to sign the motion.
And do we have a motion of acceptance?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a second. And what's the date on this?
30th, right?
30th? Any discussion? I'd say it was for a very good cause, so if you would call the vote, Misty?
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
And I wish the Rotary much success on their fundraiser. Item C, this is a discussion and a request from the Lake Mills Main Street Program to use the City Community Center for the Knickerbocker Festival. Misty, would you?
City Council Motion 16-1-1-2, authorizing the use of Lake Mills Community Center by the Lake Mills Main Street Program. Be it therefore moved this 5th day of January 2016 by the City of Lake Mills Council that Section 1, that the Lake Mills Main Street Program is authorized to use Lake Mills Community Center for the Knickerbocker Festival Trivia Night as set forth in the attached request. Section 2, that the city manager is authorized to take such actions as necessary to implement and administer said community center use. Section 3, that the city clerk is directed to send a copy of this motion to Main Street Program, 200 Water Street, Lake Mills, Wisconsin, 53551. The city council does hereby approve the use of the Lake Mills Community Center and authorizes the council president to sign the motion.
And we'll have a motion of acceptance.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second. It's okay.
Any discussion?
It's another good cause.
Oh, and a fun night. So let's go ahead and call the vote, please.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Now, we had another one too, didn't we? What, the wine and beer tasting?
That was the Rotary.
That's the
The
road.
Oh, that's the
The
Rotary
first one.
Duh. Okay, let's go on to item D. This is discussion decision on the cell phone tower lease agreement out in the corner of the parking lot. Misty, if you would.
City Council Motion 16-1-1-3 finds that the lease negotiated with Central States Tower 3 LLC 323 South Hale Street, Suite 100, Wheaton, Illinois 60187 is consistent with council intent and directs the city manager to finalize the lease. Whereas the City Council of the City of Lake Mills, pursuant to authority conferred by Wisconsin state statutes, may lease property to private users. And whereas said services will promote the health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the people of the City of Lake Mills. And whereas said services provide for health and welfare of the general public. And whereas the City Council has reviewed the information submitted and has considered the information regarding the subject. Be it therefore moved this 5th day of January 2016 by the City of Lake Mills Council that the City Council does hereby direct the city manager to finalize a lease for the use of a portion of 200 Water Street for a communications tower with Central States Tower 3 LLC with a mailing address of 323 South Hale Street, Suite 100, Wheaton, Illinois 60187, and authorizes the council president to sign the motion.
And we have a motion of acceptance.
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
And council, I noticed that you did some pen and ink on that, some blueprinting on the lease.
That was just to highlight salient points that I just wanted to make sure that the city manager and the council was aware of those specific items in the lease agreement. And you're not really approving the lease per se if you approve this tonight. You're approving the option for a lease, and the recipient of that option, if you approve it tonight, can exercise the option, and they have up to 3 years to decide to enter into a lease.
Okay.
But if they do enter into the lease, then you could potentially have it leased out for 55 years.
Right. And hopefully when they build it, we'll put our emergency service antennas on there, and it'll be a win-win.
No, we're gonna keep ours. The county has upgraded and we put in repeaters,
Okay.
so we didn't need it anymore. So this is flipped. Now instead of us getting the tower and then them not paying rent for a certain number of years, they're gonna pay rent right out the door.
Okay. Well, that's a win-win too.
Yeah, and in terms of the public, it fills a hole that's in the service area also, that it might add to the capability of certain carriers in the city that currently don't work so well.
Okay. I think we all know who that is. Hopefully it'll get better.
I have a question. In the lease, there's a reference to the water tower. Do they have something on the water tower now?
We do.
Oh.
We leased out the water tower to, it was Networks, I'm not sure if that's still the name.
We have an agreement with Networks, but when we designed the water tower, we had 10 locations for antennas to be placed, and we're not giving up the right to lease those.
Okay, that's how, I was just confused in reading it.
And that was one of the issues that had to be listed in here. The other one was that they couldn't interfere with our existing emergency response broadband.
And we don't have a problem. That should be able to happen.
It shouldn't be a problem, but if it is, they have to fix it.
Right, but what we're giving up in this lease agreement is we're retaining the right to continue to lease whatever we choose to on the water tower site, but for any other real estate that the city owns or controls within, what was it, 3 miles?
Yeah, 3 miles.
Of this location here, which is quite a big area, we can't decide to do more cell towers within 3 miles of this, other than what's already on the water tower. You know, we can use the water tower site for as many as we want, but we couldn't put up towers at the fire station or some other property that we might control in the future. And, we're talking 55 years from now that the city would be binding itself to not be able to do certain things, but it's not foreseeable. But we never know what technology is going to come down the pike, but right now it's not foreseeable that would be an issue.
They have space for one other renter. So if they lease out that space, then it doubles. It doesn't double our rent, but we get additional rent. All the other providers are right up against the edge of the city already, so it's unlikely that we would see any additional cell towers in the 3-mile area anyways. The likelihood is that the technology would change and the tower would go away. That's probably more likely than anything else. So I just didn't see a significant issue with the tower.
And that's only a requirement within 3 miles for us to do a tower that we're leasing out. That doesn't mean some private landowner somewhere within 3-mile radius of this location. That doesn't restrict their right to be able to put up a cell tower. It's just us as the landlord, we can't be doing it.
And
That's
technically
only-
the best spot outside of this area is the water tower, and we've reserved that.
But that only comes into play if they exercise their right and put up the tower, or does it
Oh,
Right.
that's only if they put up
only
the
if they
tower.
do it? Okay.
Okay, any other discussion?
Who does regulate the other people who own land that might put up a tower? Is that the county or is that the townships?
It's zone.
It's probably the state. You know, the state pretty much took over that whole arena a few
Okay.
years back. So we don't have as much control.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Call the vote, please.
Mr. Shar?
Aye.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Do we have a completion target date on this?
No.
No.
They haven't even given us an indication they're gonna exercise the option yet.
Okay.
Okay, item E, and this is always a nice one, the resolution 16-1, recognition of city service for Wayne Hoffman. Misty, if you would, please.
Resolution 16-1, in appreciation of public service to the City of Lake Mills, Water Maintenance Operator Wayne Hoffman. Whereas Wayne Hoffman has served many distinguished years with the City of Lake Mills Light and Water Utility, providing the City of Lake Mills with a good old-fashioned work example. And whereas Wayne Hoffman has been driven to provide numerous hours of contributions to the Lake Mills Light and Water Utility while exhibiting the highest level of loyalty and dedication to the city. And whereas Wayne Hoffman's long-term commitment, willingness, and ability to respond to the needs of our citizens has contributed to the betterment of Lake Mills, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Mills does hereby recognize the dedicated public service and career accomplishments of Wayne Hoffman and extends best wishes for an enjoyable retirement.
And do I have a motion of acceptance?
Motion to accept.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Misty, if you would.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
Aye, with pleasure.
Motion passed 5-0.
Item F, Resolution 16-2, City Manager's Compensation. Misty, if you would, please.
Resolution 16-2, City Manager Compensation. Whereas the City Council of the City of Lake Mills has heretofore entered into an agreement with the City Manager that calls for an annual performance evaluation and an annual review of the City Manager's compensation. And whereas the Council has met in closed sessions for the purposes of conducting the performance evaluation and the compensation review of the City Manager. And now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Lake Mills hereby agrees to compensate the City Manager with an annual salary of $90,359.63 to be paid in 26 pay periods over the course of the 12-month period of service to the City of Lake Mills during 2016. And be it further resolved that the compensation increase represents the same 1% increase given in 2016 to other full-time city employees. Be it further resolved that a 0.5% bonus shall also be paid to the city manager in December 2016, provided no premium payment is required for the income continuation insurance made available to city employees during 2016.
And do I have a motion of adoption?
So moved.
And a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that this is salary not for just city manager, but also for the administration of our electric utility, and that it would be considerably less than this if we had some outside utility that would be running the city. But we own our own utility, which requires management, and he is also in charge of managing that. So for the public to understand that it's a combined job.
Thank you, Diane. Anything else? Call the vote, please.
Mrs. Fritsch?
Aye.
Mr. Grundon?
Aye.
Mr. Kirkovich?
Aye.
Mr. Shar?
All right.
Mr. Foster?
Aye.
Motion passed 5-0.
Item 9, recommendations for future agendas.
Mr. President, I would like a discussion purposes only, put on the agenda for to discuss a signage out by the industrial park, where we have all those businesses in the back.
Uh-huh.
Some kind of a general board like you see in other cities with
Oh, I see, yeah.
with it. And, you know, I haven't talked to the owners of Selgin, but there's that corner would be an ideal place. And what I would want to see is some sort of a uniform sign age where you would be able to slide one out, slide one in. So, you know, the green business leaves and the purple business comes in. They just slide one out, slide the other in kind of thing. But people would know, you know, that
So
like
it's
the
like,
JJ Chocolate Factory's in the back, or that the graphics place is in the back kind of thing.
entrance signage telling you who's all in there?
Yes, just telling who's back in there if businesses wanted to have their name out in front for people to.
That's something we can do?
Yeah, it sounds like it's like a directory
Okay.
type signage.
There you
See,
go.
would you put that on the agenda, please? And if staff has any ideas or recommendations on that in the meantime?
We have already scheduled a work session for the 16th? No. 19th?
The second meeting of this month
Would be the 19th?
19th at 6 o'clock?
on signage?
No, on National Highway System designation for Main Street.
Will we have time to discuss it then?
I kind of doubt it.
It doesn't sound like it would be. I was guessing, so.
Well, why
It
don't,
could be
why
later. There's
don't we
no
have the
rush because
staff just
something,
come up with some
and I can meet with Steve and,
recommendations?
I can meet with Steve and Vicky and give them my ideas.
Sure.
They may
That
be all
sounds like a
wrong,
good
or
idea.
maybe there's
Yeah.
something that's
Why
useful.
don't we do that? Why don't you do that?
I don't
Okay.
think it needs a work
So
session.
we don't need it on the agenda. I'll just meet with them at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. and just
It's
come up
something that
with
would
a-
have to be budgeted for the following year anyway.
Sure. Yep.
I meant to get it in before this year's budget, but that's come and gone.
Okay.
So at this
Anything
point, you
else?
don't want it on the agenda, then
So it
you're
won't
going
be
to
on the
talk to.
agenda. I'll just come
Okay.
in and, if that's okay with council, or
That's
the fellow
fine.
council
Yeah,
members, then
yeah.
I'll just come in and, with their
That'll
approval,
work.
I can come in and talk to you guys.
Sure.
Anybody else got anything? Blaze, how about you? You got anything? Nope. Everything's good at the school? All right.
All right.
Keep up the good work.
Mr. Shar?
Yep.
I was asked by a council member to start thinking about when to schedule the other performance evaluations and discussions with the city manager. You know, you have 3 a year.
Right. Yep.
And our thinking was perhaps in March, there's a March 15th meeting,
Okay.
but if there are members who already know that March 15th won't work, there is a fifth Tuesday in March. You may not want to meet just for that purpose, but there is that option. So, but I was thinking about March 15th, unless people already know that that won't work. And it would be as a closed session after your regular meeting.
Okay.
And then the other time period that would seem to make sense would be in mid to late August or very beginning of September, so you're not bumping up into budget time. So it'd be August 16th and September 6th as possible meeting times, or at the least favorite option probably would be August 30th because that's another fifth Tuesday. So I'm just throwing those out right now for people to think about. And then, of course, there's the December one, which is always a 2-meeting opportunity because that's the formal performance evaluation. So that would be December 6th and December 20th if you stick with the December timeframe, so that you
Okay.
can do that before the end of the year. So I'm just throwing that out there now so that members could think about that. And then perhaps Mr. Shar could get back to me as to exactly which dates we're going to go with,
Okay.
sooner rather than later.
Does anybody have any preferences right now, or know of any conflicts?
I
If not, why don't we go ahead and tentatively do those dates? And then if
March
there is
15th?
conflicts, then we'll have to get back with you.
The March
Okay.
16th in September.
March would be
15th,
March 15th,
March 15th.
August 16th,
yes.
and then both meetings in December.
Yeah, I
Yep.
can do those.
So if there's any conflicts, we'll have to get back with council.
Question on the January 19th, Steve, that work session, that's on, that is January 19th you're talking about? And what's that on?
The National Highway System designation for Main Street.
Oh,
You won't want to miss that one. Okay, if there's no other business, well, I'm going to go ahead and adjourn. Thank you all.